Ahoy, hoy, Miss Grund here. You may recognize me from such classrooms as the one that I've taught you in for like a whole year. Okay, this video of all that I am. So I'm going to just look a little bit through, talk a bit about it if you weren't able to be in this class. So hopefully you watched the video where I talk about stories and the story of who are you and what are you doing here and how we need meaning and we need connection in our lives as human beings. So I have here the journey of identity, self, and our stories discovered within compassion, courage, and vulnerability, and the importance of compassion. The idea that we all go through life making the best guesses that we can as we move forward. Some things work out, some things don't. And that's okay. The key is being able to look back and say, good guess, sweetheart. Of course, you guessed that this was going to be something that was going to be helpful or whatever for you. Good guess, sweetheart. Being able to be compassionate with ourselves, with instead of clinging to resentments or anger, self-hatred, or even towards other people, being able to realize that we all are doing the best that we can, and to be able to think that good guess, sweetheart, is so important. And then it goes through to talk about the importance of courage and vulnerability when it comes to discovering who we are. I'm also wanting us to move away from this idea, getting away from the binaries of success or failure. What does that mean? Like the example that I gave within my life is that I'm divorced. And that, as culture will say, that's a failed marriage. And I disagree with that. I got married. I was married. I have two beautiful children. I learned a lot of things, and life continues to unfold. I don't need to say success or failure. So it's the idea that we try to get away from these this or that and realize the texture and the depth of what it means to be a human being. So we get that's like, have you ever failed an exam? Yep. And you get that paper back and it says that you failed and you think, I am a failure. Oh, that's not the truth, beloved. You are not. You maybe didn't pass the test and you have things to work on or whatever it may be. But that does not say anything about you as your core. Your core is God's beloved. Your core is that you are worthy of love and belonging. Period. That's it. That love, belonging, that's the core. And we journey through life and we learn and we grow to try to get away from this idea that I am this one thing, right? I talk about parenting when I'm parenting with my kids to say, so if my son is hitting or something out of anger, I can say, it's okay to feel that anger. It is not okay to hit. We do not do that. You are a good boy and you are making a poor choice. Can you see the difference? How we are good, we are beautiful, and sometimes we make poor choices. And those two things are different. In hopefully you'll read through Mrs. Kennedy's handout and it talks about shame versus guilt. Shame is like I am bad. Guilt is like I did something bad. Two very different things. Shame keeps you stuck and it's not the truth, right? People make mistakes, things happen. You are good. Maybe some of the things that choices that we've made, the guilt when it is necessary is a really important thing to feel. If I walked up and I slapped you, well, I would hope that I'd a little bit of guilt in there because be like, I'm sorry, I guess I was having a really bad day or this or that happened. I'm sorry about that. And now I'm willing to say I'm sorry and I'm willing to work towards some changes within my behavior. So courage is a part of it. And then Brene Brown's definition of courage there is absolutely beautiful. Read through it, pick out the parts and the things that speak to you within that. The idea of telling your story with your whole heart. The idea of vulnerability, when we talked about it as a class, we thought, well, a lot of times it's thought of as weak, but it's not. It's strength, it's beauty, it's connection. One of the things I talked about in class was this idea that vulnerability, you feel alone or you feel scared. And the thing is, we feel alone within it because we're taught not to talk about those things. And that's not life giving. That's not true. Everybody feels sadness, feels fear, feels shame at different times of their life, feels all of these different ways of being. And the importance is being able to talk about it, that we're not alone. Because the thing is sometimes we think vulnerability is weakness, so crying as a weakness. Absolutely not. It's a good thing. It's a thing that needs to be done as a part of being human. So the thing that happens is if we try to numb the sadness and the frustration, if we try to numb those, You also numb things like joy, things like beauty, things you can't select, right? So it's this idea of being comfortable, of being a human being, and knowing that there's emotional exposure, there's uncertainty, there's difficulties, and also vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, change, love. It's all within that, and it's very important. Goes on to say to be vulnerable means, so daring greatly means to means the courage to be vulnerable. It means to show up and be seen, to ask for what you need, to talk about how you're feeling, and to have the hard conversations. Then we go on, the PowerPoint goes on to talk about the different shields that we all use to block. Whether maybe we're feeling attacked by somebody, so we put up a shield, or maybe we're just not comfortable with anybody knowing who we are. Maybe we don't even know who we are because we've got so many shields that are up and around us. And the examples that she gives are shields that are, this is from Brene Brown, moving away, moving towards, or moving against. And so if you're moving away, you're hiding. You're somebody says something and you put your hoodie on, you put the hood over, you tuck, you're like, nobody can see me, I'm hiding. There's that secrecy, there's that disappearing, which is when you have that shield up, you can't learn anything new and you can't see me and you can't be seen. So being able to understand, and we all use I've used all these shields, we all do, but to be able to know when am I using them and how can I practice putting down that shield so I can grow, so I can heal, so I can move forward in life. So moving toward means like people pleasing. So if somebody says something, I'm like, oh, you're right, I do suck and you're wonderful. Like that is also, that's a shield. And the other shield is moving against. So somebody says something to me, then I say something just as rude back or whatever it is. It's that they're all just these different shields to block from that fear of vulnerability. But the thing is that the vulnerability, that openness, that's a part of being a wholehearted human, living a wholehearted life. It goes through some quotes. Vulnerability is the core of shame and fear, and our struggle for worthiness. But it appears that it's also the birthplace of joy, of creativity, of belonging, and love. Um, and remember, we talked about this whole idea of worthiness, that we already are worthy. We're all worthy of love and belonging. Another one that's about authenticity. Being authentic is a collection of choices that we make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. And the other ones, integrity is choosing courage over comfort. It's choosing what's right over what's fun, fast, or easy. And our culture is obsessed with this fun, fast, easy, but that's not real. We need patience. Things take time. And practicing your values, not just professing them. When we have the courage to walk into our stories and own it, we get to write the ending. And when we don't own our stories of failure, of setbacks and hurts, they own us. So that's an interesting one. Talked a bit about culture and how culture is like, you have to feel this way, you have to be this way, you have to fit this box. This is how you should think about this or that or the other thing. But being able to kind of shift away from that. And we talked, oh, this one maybe didn't show up, I'll have to check. Talked about like, well, who am I? Am I my experiences? Am I my feelings? Am I what has happened to me? Am I what I have done? And the answer is no. Those are a part of your experience. They are part of things that you have gone through within your life. They have shaped you, but also, but they're not who you are. Who you are is God's beloved. And when we're able to get there and forgive some of these difficult things and start to discover who it is that we are and what are the things that help bring us to life, that's that part of understanding all that I am as who I am. To not be defined by the things that have happened within our lives or the things that we've done, but to learn from them and to grow from them and to move forward in life. So goes on to talk about how you're God's beloved and always worthy of love and belonging. These are the things that I've been talking about. And then I give here this idea that everything shifts and changes. The feelings that we have, you don't feel, if you felt frustrated yesterday, you still don't have that exact same feeling today. That ebbs and flows. Our interests ebb and flow. The things we like to do ebb and flow. The thoughts we have ebb and flow. They're temporary, they're temporary, they're temporary. But what is core and what is always is God's beloved, is human being, is this grace and this goodness. So For me, when I'm talking about what is my core, well, my core I say is God's beloved, and I value honesty, humility, and grace for me, all wrapped up in compassion and humor. And so I value being able to be honest, and what that takes is humility. So being able to know that I'm not, it's not about like I'm the best and la. That's not humble, but to be able to have a humility of like, yeah, I will make mistakes and I will do great things and I will screw up and I'll say all of those things, right? So then I have to also know that there are things that I will do that will be big mistakes, and I need grace for that. I need forgiveness for that. I need to know that I'm being held by God, by love through all of the things. So it's wrapped in compassion and also humor. So for me, that's kind of my core of who I am. And then I have all of these interests and things, and painting and reading and writing and speaking, and all of these things that help me to enter the flow of the core of my being. So that's the little intro into all that I am, and the assignment for that is going to be posted as well. That we will start tomorrow. All right, peace.